6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Mallavarachi, read by Soundithavam. The central bank says the forex reserves will exceed $3 billion soon. The bus fares are about to increase next week with the hike in fuel prices. The health minister reiterates that there is no injustice done to the GMOA. The police are on alert during the festive season. 673 new COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday. The ongoing shortage of milk powder is expected to end by February. In foreign news, Israel plans to give fourth dose of vaccine to over 60s. And in sports, the Jaffna Kings will face the Gold Gladiators in the LPL final today. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka yesterday informed the general public that the measures being taken at present will ensure that by the end of 2021, the official reserves will remain above $3 billion. Despite the headwinds of the economic impact of COVID-19 and challenges posed by adverse developments in the external sector, the Sri Lankan economy showed resilience throughout 2021, the bank said in a release. Also, Sri Lanka successfully met its debt obligations by repaying foreign loans, including the payments of the international sovereign bonds. The central bank's announcement comes after the recent downgrade of Sri Lanka's sovereign rating by the global rating agency Fitch Ratings, reflecting its view of an increased probability of a default event in the coming months. The central bank further says that since the beginning of the year, the government has been actively pursuing possible avenues to replenish official reserves, with an emphasis on encouraging not debt flows so that the existing foreign debt could be managed in a sustainable manner. These efforts were accelerated since October 2021 with the announcement of the 6-month roadmap for ensuring macroeconomic and financial system stability. Accordingly, a number of foreign exchange inflows are envisaged in the very near term. Major foreign exchange inflows to the central bank include swap facilities with Middle Eastern and other regional central banks amounting to about $2 billion. The government is also in the process of securing government-to-government financing, syndicated loans as well as loans from multilateral organizations. State Minister Dilum Amanugama is expected to hold a discussion with the private bus operators next week as the bus fares are about to increase with the hike in fuel prices. The discussion will focus on the method of increase, and the State Minister assured that the increase will be made minimal as much as possible to ease the burden on commuters. The Minister made these comments while addressing a media conference yesterday. The GMOA strike reached the third day yesterday. The strike was launched 3 days ago based on 7 demands. The Minister of Health, Dr. Kelia Rambakwala, reiterates that there is no injustice done to the GMOA by looking at the demands they put forward. The minister also said that he will not hesitate to rectify the mistakes if pointed out and proved undoubtedly. The minister said he is ready to talk on these subjects at any time with the relevant partners. The minister also assured that there is no political interference in transfers and promotions. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Public Security Minister Rear Admiral Dr. Sarath Veerasekara has instructed IGP Chandana Wickramaratne to implement a special security plan for places and areas frequented by the public in Colombo and the suburbs during the Christmas and New Year season. The minister is instructed to deploy more police officers in civilian clothes to nab pickpockets and criminals harassing the public. He had also instructed the IGP to take steps to deploy more mobile patrols and foot patrols during this season. According to the Epidemiology Unit of the Health Ministry, 673 new COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday. A total of 581,595 COVID-19 cases have been reported since the beginning of the pandemic. 8,558 infected patients are currently under medical care at hospitals and homes. 558,226 patients have fully recovered and been discharged from hospitals. Sri Lanka yesterday reported 16 deaths, raising the total to 14,811. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The ongoing shortage of milk powder is expected to continue for 2 more months as a result of the delays in shipping and the increase in warehousing charges, the importers say. According to the media spokesman of the Milk Powder Importers Association, Mr. Ashoka Bandara, the letters of credit could not be issued through banks due to the lack of dollars required to purchase the imported products. He went on to note that local milk powder manufacturers should take measures to prevent the inconvenience caused to the consumers by the shortage of imported products, and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the health authorities have requested the public to follow health guidelines strictly as the corona infections crossed the 700 mark for the last few weeks. The Director General of Health Services, Dr. Asela Gunawardena, said that there is a high risk for the public not to get involved with large gatherings or get-togethers. He requested the public to refrain from travelling between the provinces. He pointed out that 600 to 750 corona patients are still being reported daily from the country. Therefore, he emphasised that the pandemic can spread rapidly again if the public act irresponsibly, and that came to you in Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
Christmas and New Year sales with CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable prizes and vouchers for CIB bills during the entire month of December. 20% discount will be given for bank cards and for gift vouchers. Visit CIB today as well.
Making headlines, Israel plans to give fourth dose of vaccine to over 60s. Spain has announced plans for mandatory face coverings outside. Up to 100 missing in jade mine landslide in Myanmar. A government panel of experts in Israel has recommended a fourth dose of a COVID-19 vaccine for all people aged over 60 and healthcare workers. The move was welcomed by Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, who said it would help the country to get through a potential wave of the Omicron variant. The Israeli Health Ministry has so far confirmed 341 cases of Omicron. The overall COVID-19 infection rate is also on the rise, with 903 new cases recorded on Tuesday. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has announced plans for mandatory face coverings outside in response to a dramatic rise in COVID-19 infections. The rule was dropped only 6 months ago, but Spain saw a record 49,823 cases on Tuesday. The Omicron variant is spreading across Europe fast, and the World Health Organization says the region is once again at the epicenter of the pandemic. In Spain, the variant is believed to account for almost half of infections. As many as 100 people are feared missing after a landslide at a jade mine in Myanmar. Rescue teams are desperately searching for people in a nearby lake, with most victims believed to be illegal miners. One person is confirmed dead. The landslide occurred at the Hamkat area of northern Kachin state at 4 on Wednesday or 21:30 GMT Tuesday. Myanmar, also known as Burma, is the world's biggest source of jade, but its mines have seen numerous accidents. Back to the headlines of the world news. Israel plans to give fourth dose of vaccine to over 60s. Spain has announced plans for mandatory face coverings outside, and up to 100 missing in jade mine landslide in Myanmar. That concludes this bulletin of world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
Christmas and New Year sales with CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable prizes and vouchers for CIB bills during the entire month of December. 20% discount will be given for bank cards and for gift vouchers. Visit CIB today as well.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
The Minister of Tourism, Prasanna Ranathinga, says special attention was focused on the acceleration of development activities in the Gampaha district this year. 17,590 projects have been implemented in the Gampaha district under the Gampaha District Joint Annual Action Programme. These include agriculture, industrial, tourism and trade, human settlements, physical infrastructure, transport, social infrastructure facilities, and administrative public work, and came to you in Development News. Sports News up next.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving on with sports news.
The Jaffna Kings, the reigning champions, will meet the Galle Gladiators today in their final of the LPL second edition. The match is scheduled to commence at 7:30 p.m. at the Mahinda Rajapaksa International Cricket Stadium. The Galle Gladiators, led by Bhanuka Rajapaksa, enter the final after beating the Jaffna Kings 3 times in a row in this tournament. They started the tournament by defeating the Kings by 54 runs. They later beat the Kings again by 20 runs in a low-scoring affair. The two teams met at the first qualifier game in Hambantota last Sunday, where the Gladiators once again dominated the game, defeating the Kings by 64 runs to qualify for the final. That's sports news, business news up next.
For all foreign currencies remitted through NSB based on the US dollar value, 10 rupees more per dollar, plus more gifts until 31st December 2021. NSB, the safest place for your money.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A virtual business forum was recently held on the theme of sourcing agricultural inputs from Germany to strengthen Sri Lanka's path towards sustainable and organic agriculture. The Embassy of Sri Lanka in Germany, together with the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, German Agribusiness Alliance and Sri Lanka-Germany Business Council, organised the forum, providing a valuable opportunity to gain deeper insights into the government's vision and efforts set forth to achieve sustainable organic agriculture. That's business news, economic news up next.
Business news, sponsored by
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U-Trust.
Moving on to economic news, the central bank says the Sri Lanka Prosperity Index marginally increased to 0.786 in 2020 compared to 0.783 recorded in 2019. The well-being of the people sub-index improved amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, while decreases were observed in the economy and business climate and socio-economic infrastructure sub-indices during the year. The central bank said improvements to healthcare facilities and more opportunities created for higher education, indicated by an increase in the quota of students enrolled for the state universities, have contributed to the increase in the well-being of the people sub-index. That's economic news, and moving on to the weather report.
The weather report.
Except for thundershowers during the afternoon or night at a few places in the Ratnapura, Kalutara, Galle and Mathura districts, mainly fair weather will prevail over most parts of the island. Misty conditions can be expected in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central and Uva provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts during the morning. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The central bank says the forex reserves will exceed $3 billion soon. The bus fares are about to increase next week with the hike in fuel prices. The health minister reiterates that there is no injustice done to the GMOA. The police are on alert during the festive season. 673 new COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday. The ongoing shortage of milk powder is expected to end by February. Israel plans to give 4th dose of vaccine to over 60s. And the Jaffna Kings will face the Galle Gladiators in the LPL final today. That concludes this morning's news broadcast.